morning, friends. It is 6:16 a.m. I am just in from my morning walk, and as I'm in from my morning walk, we can get started with the stream. How did you sleep last night, or how's your day been? I hope you've been fine. I've been all right. I had a good day yesterday, and hopefully we're going to have a good day today as well, right? I'm going to get started making some coffee, and then we're going to talk about health and fitness and what that means when you're 41 years old and trying to stay fit and healthy, right? Because that's what the stream's all about. But before we get started, for those of you who are watching, my name is Toby. I am 41 years old and I train to live an active, self-sufficient and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep. I try to get between 7 and 9 hours in a night. Last night, 7 hours and 20 resting time, 6 hours and 55 minutes sleeping time. Falls a bit short of 7, but still good enough. On average, I'm getting between 7 and 7.5 hours. I'd love to increase that to 8, but I would have to give up some more things which I'm not willing to do. I do that by focusing on what I eat. I mind my calorie intake. I try to eat within my energy balance, which is around 2,200 calories. I try to eat lots of whole foods, vegetables. Try to get as many nutrients out of those as I possibly can. And I try to eat a proper amount of a proper amount of nutrients, specifically proteins, macronutrients. And the reason for that is that I want my protein intake to support both longevity and strength and muscle gain. Well, that has led to an interesting question on my end, because apparently there's a discrepancy between the optimal amounts to build and grow muscle, which centers more around the 1.2 to 1.5 or 6 grams per kilogram versus the optimal amount of protein for longevity, which centers a bit more. Sorry about all the cracking. Also, plastic packaging is another concern and problem that needs to be addressed. But right now we're dealing with a different issue, because the optimal amount for longevity apparently is about 0.72 grams per kilogram, which would put me more in the 60 to 75 gram range for my long-term health and fitness goals. So what I'm trying to figure out is, well, how much protein do I actually need to eat to essentially grow the muscles that I want to grow for the strength and muscle size that I would like to develop for life. And that is proving to be an interesting puzzle to fix, but we will fix it over time. Sleep, nutrition, then there's of course training. Generally I would do strength training, strength conditioning training, endurance training, HIIT training, mobility training. Currently I'm very much focused on mobility and on walking, which is a form of endurance training, because I recently injured my back. I lifted the wrong way. It was a stupid mistake, an amateur mistake, and because of that I am not able or not going to force my body to actually try to, how should I put it, try to actually use those muscles until I feel that I'm fully recovered. And even though I've recovered well, even though the back pain, the stiffness is gone, there doesn't seem to be any permanent damage, there's still little moments where I notice that something is slightly off or not moving well. So what we're trying to do, very simply, is give my body time to recover and recuperate at its own pace. But I am hopeful that within a month I'll be able to get back to some light exercising, and by the end of May, June, we'll be back on track with strength training. But it is going to be detrimental for all of the progress that I made over the course of the last 4 months. It is what it is. Sometimes we need to take a step back to move forward. The thing is that last year I had the neck herniation around the same time. This year it's this. Injuries are big setbacks, so being mindful and being careful is tantamount in order to find and work on that long-term health and fitness consistently. I am fortunate enough that I have enough variables and training modalities that I can turn to, but I am currently not building muscle and strength at the pace and rate that I would want to, and that's a shame. So besides sleep, nutrition, training, I'm also mindful of my relationships, of the people I love and care about, I want to spend time with. I want to make sure that we're investing time and energy in those relationships to keep them strong and healthy over time. And that involves or includes the relationships I have with my wife and children, the relationships I have with my closest and oldest friends, the relationships I have with my direct communities, which are my child's sport clubs, parents there, the street, neighborhood, the neighbors, which are my colleagues, right? And also here in this community, like cultivating, I think, cultivating community and friendships is something that we as men should talk about and be mindful about, because life can be pretty lonely, but they are essential when it comes to health and fitness, specifically our mental and emotional health and our sense of belonging and value and contribution. We can talk a bit more about that at another time. And by the way, if you're watching and you want to go ahead and say hi, you go ahead and say hello. If you want to drop by in the chat and hit like or ask me any questions, you go ahead and do just that, all right? My kids are about to wake up, so I don't know how long the stream is going to be today. But someone asked me a question yesterday about the difference between strength and hypertrophy training. So just very quickly wanted to address that before we talk about all of the other thoughts. So strength training and hypertrophy training are trainings for different outcomes, right? There's a couple of things to consider, right? Muscle size supports strength, but you can be pretty damn strong without being very bulky. I think that's something that we need to keep top of mind. There are different ways to train, and there's a lot of detail that I don't think I'm going to go into because there's a lot of good information out there on how to train for hypertrophy versus how to train for strength. But in general, it seems that when we're trying to train for strength, we're doing higher loads, lifting heavier weights, doing fewer repetitions, and we're taking more rest in between. The reason for that. Ja, vriendje. Oké, nou, in dat geval kom ik jou bovenop halen. 2 seconden, dan kom ik aan. As you can see, my responsibilities are calling, so we'll have to save this conversation for another day, 6:30. I should have done the stream first and gone for a walk after, but here we are. Remember, friends, we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. It's the person we are today. It's going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. So a bit of kindness is going to go a long way because there are enough people who want to put us down. All right? And remember, the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So I will see you tomorrow. Take care, friend. And remember to subscribe.